Well, welcome to our topic tonight is B-complex. And I think this is one of those that a lot of times we don't necessarily talk about specific vitamins and minerals, but B-complex we can easily spend our 20 minutes on tonight. So this is, one of those things coming into darker seasons and seasonal affective disorder and a lot of the things we hear about, you know, vitamin D is generally the main thing people focus on, but hopefully after tonight, you guys will also learn that B complex is a very important concept of what we all should learn about and what it does in our body. So I want to start out here real fast just by kind of mentioning, some of the things that burn our B vitamins. One of the main things is actually stress. So, stress is, they actually say now, and I forget what the percentage was. I heard if anybody knows it, feel free to add it, but it is one of the main causes of why people go to a physician today, because stress is related to almost every health condition that you would see a doctor for, minus being sick. But even being sick could be related to having high stress levels because it beats down your immune system. But if you look at high blood pressure, you look at cholesterol, you look at a lot of the things you see, and it could definitely be revolving around stress. I'll give you some other examples here in a second. But as you continue to beat down those cortisol levels, it's really crucial to note that what happens is that continues to, over time, deplete your body. You'll notice that if you have excess cortisol in your body, that it leads to many things like weight gain, osteoporosis, digestive problems, many of the things that, again, you wouldn't necessarily specifically say that that is a stress response, but it is 100%. So when you notice you're always in fight or flight mode. If you guys have ever heard of adrenal fatigue, this will be another one when people are constantly battled with stress, that their body gets into this mode that they can't ever relax. And if some of you have been there, you know what I'm talking about. And that chronic stress really starts to play a toll in why we don't sleep, why we start to gain weight, why we can't keep our moods under control. And as we start to have health consequences of the relationship of stress in our body, some things that can start to occur are things like irritable bowel syndrome. And they actually say that's more common in women by 3 to 1. And it is very, very common now also because of our diet, but stress can be a huge contributor to that. And also our immune system, which I was mentioning, that you're more prone to infections and autoimmune disorders if your body has a high amount of stress. Now, you also have to remember though, that we all have stress, right? And it's inevitable. You can't avoid it. But it's how your body deals with stress that really makes a difference in how your body functions and how you're able to continue to build health without letting the stress continue to break you down. So some of the other things that can be affected, cardiovascular nervous system, like I was mentioning with higher blood pressure, elevated heart rate. If you guys ever wear, any smartwatches and you watch your heart rate, it's amazing how you can tell when you're stressed because your heart rate will continue to be elevated. And even people that, it's kind of crazy, but I can have people in class that I notice that their heart rate is up and a day later they're sick because their body was fighting, and that's what happens when we get in stress modes is all of these things start to take place, and it is different for everyone. But sleep deprivation is a huge one. And also tying that in with weight gain, so increased cortisol levels. So, when we look at some options of how we can start to decrease the effects of stress on our body, this is where the B complex comes into play. B vitamins are known as your happy vitamins. And I think that as you start to know more about supplements, that B vitamins really play also a crucial part in your brain and nervous system, and they are water soluble. So this is why we need to supplement, because they need to continue to be replaced throughout the day. And when we look at supplements on the market, I always like everyone to understand the importance of why do we promote Shaklee? Why is it different? And you guys can see on the screen here, this was just talking about some GNC products and the effects of how oftentimes they have many dangers hidden in them. And instead of building health, they're actually breaking down health. And many of these common places, you look at this, GNC, Target, Walmart, Walgreens, all very popular places, and they have basically tainted supplements that have somehow been changed or altered. And actually, a lot of times, what's actually in those supplements is not even listed on the label. So we always like to highlight that is why we are huge fans of Shaklee, because we know that what you are getting is actually truly listed on the label, and that it's actually studied and proven that it's working. So, and also if you guys are reading there, that the amount of products that come from China is just unbelievable. So, as far as supplements being regulated, they are even less regulated there. So we really do need to know the effects of what we're putting in our bodies and what it could be doing to us, not even just short term, but also long term. So here we are with our B complex. So we talked about how B vitamins are oftentimes depleted by stress, but some other key areas that B vitamins can be affected by are a diet high in processed sugar, in refined carbohydrates, alcohol, caffeine, and actually if you look at a lot of the types of medications like birth control, that's a big one, that it's almost mandatory that you have to supplement with B vitamins because that will continue to deplete your system. So same with stress. And even if we look at antibiotics, that's another one. We always talk about probiotics. And as we're building that gut health, your B vitamins can also have been depleted from typically any type of antibiotic. So when your microflora imbalance is off, if you guys have ever heard of candida, that definitely is a negative factor in our B vitamin production. So we oftentimes need to look at some of those other factors that are depleting. So like I was mentioning, they're water soluble. Now our B complex, if in case you're wondering, they say that this actually stays in your system. This can vary definitely from person to person, but about 5 hours. So I know a lot of you guys on here, along with myself, we're big fans of the Life Strip and the Vitalizer Strip. And that does have the B vitamins in there, which is awesome. And that one is actually time released a little bit longer. But most of the time, they say taking B vitamins about every 5 hours is a really good indicator that it's staying in your system. And note that the B complex is coated in folic acid. So it's very different than a lot of your B vitamins in the store because you know that that's going to be broken down. And folic acid is also a great thing for women in childbearing ages because it is perfect for helping with baby's brain development. So again, perks of having the right type of coating, making sure it breaks down when it's supposed to. And that's where this B vitamin is, superior to other options like we were just talking about, supplements coming from China and other places. You have no idea. So now B vitamins are also a big part in people having issues with, and this is a big time of year as we're heading into the holidays, but sugar cravings. Increase your B vitamins. When you're noticing a major sugar craving, oftentimes that's because of a deficiency in a B vitamin. So a lot of people are actually very familiar with getting like B12 injections for energy. Now, the thing that a lot of people don't understand is the B vitamins you need to have put in your body at the right levels. So if you just put in the body B12, what's happening with all the other B vitamins? So our B complex actually has all 8 of them in there. So there are actually 8 forms of B vitamins in there. So that is going to be ensuring that it's just like you're eating foods with B vitamins, that it's optimally absorbed. So here's looking at the label and you can kind of get an idea of, if you were to glance at this, you might wonder, well, these percentages, how come they don't match? And that's again, like nature, that everything is not in perfect balance in a synthetic form, but if it's come from nature, it is. And this is what has been found and clinically proven to make sure that it is produced how it's supposed to using isolates. And this has a much greater bioavailability when they have found using these percentages and these amounts. So again, just like using nature. And in the folic acid coating, like I was mentioning, that really is a key in helping it to break down. But folic acid is also B vitamins. So, that's why they chose to use that as the coating. So, and again, taking this in a supplement, in a complex versus a 1B vitamin is going to help to ensure that you're creating a metabolic balance, creating instead of that imbalance where if you're just taking one form of B vitamin. So if somebody tells you they're taking a B vitamin, ask if it's actually a complex. So, and another thing that's interesting, if you look at some other B vitamin products, this ingredient right here, biotin, most of your B vitamins will skimp out on that. Several reasons is because it's costly and it's very hard to process. So a lot of B vitamin products will actually not put in biotin because again, it has to do with cost generally. But so these are all just really good things to note about the different B vitamins options. And when we look at foods that are high in B vitamins, here's a great example of a picture with just some, showing some various foods here and different options, obviously whole foods is going to be our number one source. But again, because your body cannot make B vitamins, supplementation becomes even more crucial. So some of these things that can occur that you would never probably relate to a deficiency could be things like canker sores. And remember, if we're talking about stress, that a lot of times stress can be a trigger for canker sores. So that could be because it's depleting a vitamin. So adding in things like B complex, crucial. Look at some of these other things there, though. Again, if you go to a doctor's office and you are struggling with osteoporosis, I don't think I've ever heard of a doctor suggesting taking B complex. These are the things that if we can be more knowledgeable and more educated, we're going to be such an advantage when our body is struggling with some of these issues. Now, I should also mention, guys, I didn't say this at the beginning, but another big thing that depletes B vitamins is actually caffeinated beverages. So if you drink pop, that's a big one. You talk about leaching calcium from your bones, but it also really depletes your B vitamin and your production of B vitamins. So note that too. So, and just some other things I want to add here that when you're looking at what B vitamins do, they actually help with your nerve function. So think of also ailments that have to do with nerve functions. Right away, if you're familiar with MS, fibromyalgia, and nerve endings are affected. B vitamins are crucial for those nerve endings. And when we talk about brain health, it's the same thing because of all the nerve endings in the brain that it can help with learning, memory. You see ADD listed on there, dementia, perfect for calming hyperactivity. Now, for some people, they can't actually take B vitamins before bed because it will create actually a little bit more energy for them. Other people, it calms them. So it really is a matter of finding the right balance for you and trial and error. So, those of us that take the Vitalizer and the Life Strip, great. But you might also want to keep B vitamins on hand, especially coming into this time of year. Again, additional stress. You might not be as active. You've got a lot of sugar in your diet that B vitamins can be depleted a whole lot more. Some other things we talked about helping with cravings and helping with blood sugar levels is another one. So if you look at anemia, again, there's another area of B vitamins actually help with iron absorption. We always hear of vitamin C, but B vitamins can also increase the amount of iron that's absorbed and your red blood cell formation. So, there's just a lot of foundation properties to B vitamins that are very unique in what they do for the body. So even if you look at something like migraines and headaches, and I know there's a couple people on here that actually suffer from those, and they will probably tell you B vitamins have been a big help for them, that we tend to use a combination of when someone is starting to notice they're getting regular headaches or migraines. Number one, you want to make sure that it's not dehydration. So using something like our Hydrate or Hydrate Plus, which is an electrolyte boost, helps to really get those minerals in there to make sure that it's not triggered by dehydration, but also throwing in there a couple of B complex and oftentimes calcium, magnesium to relax the nerves from continuing to fire. So, figuring out the right combinations can actually really be life-saving, guys, because there are many people, headaches are debilitating. They can't work, they can't function. And if you can find some natural options, unlike painkillers that will actually make it so you can't do anything for not just a few minutes, but hours, sometimes an entire day that somebody has to stay in bed because of headaches. So, just some, again, different uses of B vitamins here. So another area I wanted to mention that if you know anybody that's vegetarian, it's very common that vegetarians are deficient in vitamin B12. So a really good thing to note there. And I mentioned childbearing ages, folic acid, very key. So it's great that ours is covered in that, in the folic acid to help with the breakdown of the B vitamins. So, even looking at things like your menstrual cycle, for women, this can help with the ups and downs and the mood swings. So just a lot of functions for bees. So hopefully this was kind of a great way to help you know a little bit more about them and how you can use them. But we still have about here, guys, 5 minutes. So does anybody have some questions or anything they would like to add about B vitamins? Don't forget to unmute yourself, guys, because I muted you all if you weren't muted. I guess I explained it so well. You guys have nothing, huh?
I have a question, Amanda. It's Stacy.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're craving all kinds of sugar and you said take B vitamin, does it work that quickly? Like you would take it and to stop those cravings, or you want to start getting that daily into your system so it stops the cravings,
Nope.
like if you're taking them in the morning.
Use them right away. As soon as you start to notice the craving coming on, take them. They work very fast. So yeah, again, and it's great because it is released quickly, but it will continue to be released for a while. And the way the B vitamins are basically dissolved, again, we talked about all the foods and the stress, but every time you go to the bathroom, that is a big thing, that when you are looking at your urine, that it will tell you a lot about how you're absorbing your B vitamins. So if your urine isn't yellow, you need more B vitamins. So you might even notice that, Stacy, not that people sit and, obviously look at that, but it is huge to note that you actually do want to have it be yellow. So, and when you start to notice cravings coming on, it's really ironic, but you'll even notice that your urine is more clear. So that's a good indicator to add more B vitamins. So yeah, that's a great question.
Okay.
Good. But remember, guys, your B vitamins cannot be stored. So you can't just take these one day and expect to be good for the next week. I know some people try to ration out their vitamins because they don't want to spend a lot, but these are different. You cannot take these and expect them to be, staying in your body. So good. All right, guys. Any other questions?
So you can't overload on them.
No, you cannot. Great question too. That's one of them. You never have to worry about taking too much. So take as many as you want. But just as I said, the only thing to note would be is if it stimulates you a little bit, don't take them before bed. So, all right. Good, guys. Anything else? All right. Was that helpful?
Yeah,
Good.
I thought so.
Very much so. Yes. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. Glad you made it, Judy. I was hoping you'd be on.
This is the one I've been waiting for.
All right. Good. All right, guys. Well, next week on Monday night, we will still have a product talk. I'm only going to spend about 15 minutes, and I haven't quite decided what it's going to be yet. So if you have a suggestion, let me know. I was thinking of doing youth, but if somebody has another suggestion, let me know. But we are going to have next week he is very new to Shackley, and I, again, love his enthusiasm and his motivation. So the first 15 minutes, products, guys, more for, generally members, distributors, everybody at the beginning. But he's going to get into more of the business kind of helping for that next part. So we'll probably start our business training a little bit early. And he kind of mentioned he really wanted to help people with understanding how to use the Prove It Challenge to get more people excited, but also different techniques and how to share it. And also getting people to learn how they could actually use that as their first step to maybe starting their business. So I think it will be great information. So that is next week, Monday night at 8:30. So, it's always good to have guest speakers, guys. And I think that it really